3 major finals, 0 trophies. That single statistic might be the shortest, most brutal way to summarize Dutch football history. 1974, 1978, 2010. Each time, the Oranje marched onto the world's biggest stage, came within touching distance of the trophy, and each time they walked home empty-handed. And now, here we are, the 2026 World Cup. This new generation carries what might be the heaviest psychological burden in the nation's footballing history. So, the real question is this: will these players forget the past, lock in, and fight without looking over their shoulders? Or will they crumble once again under the shadow of those old heartbreaks? Netherlands arrive at this tournament with a clear identity: possess the ball, dominate through technical passing, and suffocate opponents into mistakes. Head coach Ronald Koeman hasn't abandoned that iconic total football philosophy. He's adapted it to the ruthless demands of the modern game. This isn't a Dutch side that simply passes for the sake of it. This is a team that presses high with structure, forces errors in dangerous areas, and transitions into attack at lightning speed. Koeman's base shape is a 4-2-3-1. On paper, it looks compact and predictable, but in the right hands, it becomes an absolute weapon. So what's actually driving this Dutch squad? On the surface, it's simple. They want to put that missing trophy in the cabinet, but underneath that, there's a deeper psychological battle. Netherlands have reached at least the quarterfinals in 3 of their last 4 major tournaments. This is not a story about a bad team. This is the story of a talented generation asking itself, why can't we take that final step? And that unanswered question is both their greatest burden and their most powerful fuel. Let's start with the foundation. And Netherlands' most unshakable asset in this tournament is their defensive line. Virgil van Dijk, Mickey van de Ven, Jurrien Timber, and Jorel Hato, nearly all of them battle-hardened at the top end of the Premier League. Van Dijk may be approaching 35, but his leadership, aerial dominance, and one-on-one composure still place him among the world's elite. Beside him, Van de Ven is one of the most extraordinary defenders modern football has produced. His pace and recovery ability alone can neutralize an entire attacking threat. Against a quick, counter-attacking sides, this backline will be a wall. Now, the engine room. Ryan Gravenberch has been reborn at Liverpool and developed into one of Europe's finest defensive midfielders, winning the ball back, controlling tempo, recycling possession with zero fuss. Alongside him, Tijani Reinders has shown the world at Manchester City exactly how creative a central midfielder can be. Together, this double pivot offers both defensive security and genuine invention. Against physically strong but tactically limited sides, these two will own the midfield completely. And the attacking wildcard, Gakpo. Operating at the peak of his international career at Liverpool, Gakpo can play wide left, through the middle, or as a deep-lying second striker. He gives Koeman outstanding tactical flexibility, and his physical strength, technical quality, and composure in big moments make him the Netherlands' single biggest attacking weapon. Let's walk through the expected lineup. From goalkeeper to forward. Between the posts, Bart Verbruggen, just 23, already worth €40 million following his performances at Brighton, and someone who radiates confidence in goal. Behind him on the bench, Robin Roos and the experienced Mark Flecken provide solid cover. At right back, Jurrien Timber, who's been outstanding for Arsenal and carries a market value pushing €70 million. Alternatives include Brighton's Mats Wiefer and Inter's Denzel Dumfries. And if Koeman wants to flood that right side with physicality, Dumfries is ready to slot straight in. At centre-back, Van Dijk and Van de Ven, a Champions League level pairing. Their cover, Nathan Ake from Manchester City and Jan-Paul van Hecke from Brighton, both capable of stepping in at the highest level. At left back, Chelsea's Jorel Hato, just 20 years old and already the starting choice. Ake remains his closest competition for that spot. In central midfield, Gravenberch as the defensive anchor, Reinders as the creative partner, and waiting on the bench, Frenkie de Jong from Barcelona, Teun Koopmeiners from Juventus, Quentin Timber from Marseille, and Martin de Roon from Atalanta. That is an extraordinary depth of midfield talent. At number 10, the veteran Memphis Depay from Corinthians, playing as the free creator and a hidden goal threat. Depending on the game, Koeman could also turn to Justin Kluivert from Bournemouth or Guus Til from PSV. One painful absence absence, Xavi Simons will miss the entire tournament due to a cruciate ligament injury. We wish him a full and speedy recovery. On the left wing, Gakpo, undisputed starter. His closest backup is the explosive Noah Lang, familiar to many from his time at Galatasaray. On the right wing, Crescencio Somerville from West Ham, expected to start. Daniel Malin can also operate on that side. And, at striker, Malen leads the line. But if the game demands a physical presence in the box, Koeman can call on Brian Brobby from Sunderland, or the tournament-hardened Wout Weghorst to punish defenders aerially. The fate of this Dutch campaign may rest almost entirely on one player, and more specifically, on his fitness report. That player is Frenkie de Jong. After a nightmare season at Barcelona plagued by injuries, de Jong arrives at this tournament, having played under 30 minutes in each of his last 16 appearances. He comes with a giant question mark hanging over him, and yet for Koeman, he is non-negotiable, carrying the ball under pressure, maintaining balance in the center of the pitch. That is de Jong's role. As Koeman himself has said, de Jong is the engine this machine cannot run without. A fully fit de Jong and Netherlands can climb every step toward the title. A half-fit, hesitant de Jong, and that midfield becomes dangerously fragile. The second key name is Memphis Depay, the national team's all-time top scorer with 55 goals. At 32 and playing in Brazil, his inclusion is absolutely not nostalgia. Koeman trusts him because Depay stays composed in the biggest moments of the biggest matches. Still, his aging legs and inconsistent recent form will be his biggest test in this tournament. And the X factor? Here's the name not many people are talking about loudly: Jorel Hato. Just 20 years old, the Chelsea left back combines blistering pace, clean ball control, and the attacking output modern fullbacks demand. After Timber's injury, Koeman handed him the shirt, and Hato didn't waste it. While everyone watches the attackers, Hato could quietly dominate the left flank and announce himself to the entire world. One question worth asking: should Koeman start with a rhythmless Frenkie de Jong or trust players currently in better form? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's be honest, Netherlands' biggest enemy is not their opponents. It's that chronic inconsistency hardwired into their DNA. Watching them look world-class one match and completely invisible the next is no longer a surprise. But this tournament brings a more specific crisis: a creativity problem. When an opponent drops into a deep defensive block and closes down space, the Dutch struggle to find the key that unlocks it. Why? Because their most gifted creative force, Xavi Simons, has been forced to withdraw with a knee injury. His absence piles the entire playmaking burden onto Tijani Reinders, and that makes the Dutch attacking plan far too readable for quality opposition. The second major risk has a name: Japan. The side that knocked out Germany and Spain in 2022 and more recently beat England 1-0 at Wembley are genuinely dangerous. In the opening Group F fixture, Japan's suffocating press and lightning-fast transitions could tear apart the Dutch backline. If de Jong fails to find his rhythm and control the game's tempo, there's no second organizer on the bench capable of steadying the ship. That match will be either a wake-up call or the beginning of a catastrophic early exit. Group F is one of the most competitive, most entertaining groups of the entire tournament. Netherlands open on June 14th against Japan, then Sweden on the 20th, and Tunisia on the 25th to close out the group stage. Progression is likely, but far from guaranteed. The Japan match is the one that shapes everything. A defeat or a painful and ugly draw could shatter the squad's confidence before the tournament has barely begun. If they top the group, two conditions must be met for them to go deep. First, Frenkie de Jong needs to show up as the player who was once the spine of Barcelona, not the cautious, half-available version we've seen recently. Second, Gakpo and Reinders need to function in perfect sync. When one is neutralized, the other must immediately step up as the creative leader. If both conditions are met, a semifinal is genuinely within reach. If not, that famous quarterfinal curse will claim them once again. And the title? The squad looks extraordinary on paper, but the bench depth raises questions. And above everything else, there is that weight of history. 3 lost finals casting a long shadow. It may not hand opponents a direct advantage, but in the tournament's defining moments, under maximum pressure, it could quietly sabotage the quality of their decisions. My prediction? Netherlands top the group. A quarterfinal is close to certain. But going all the way, lifting that trophy, depends entirely on whether this generation can finally cross that psychological threshold. So, can the Orange finally break break their curse and produce the tournament's greatest surprise? Or will Simons' absence and De Jong's lack of rhythm send them home earlier than anyone expected? Leave your predictions and thoughts in the comments below. Let's break down the Dutch 2026 journey together. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive tactical analysis. We'll see you at the next one.